subscribe to the Donnie Houston podcast, man.
He did the introduction to my first album, Coming Home, which was the first Crowns. So when the first Crowns dropped, shit started getting a little, for me. Oh, and also shout out Propane, because Propane was the one that we did a song together. Propane gave me a lot of game, bro. Like I always, what I say about Pro that he told me that stuck with me was like, I definitely used to ask him a lot of questions and shit, and I said, um, sometimes I think I was trying to figure out how to survive in this game when all of the music is free. So Pro was the one that told me that if I had 100 fans, that I would never, like, if you got 100 fans, you should be able to pay all your bills with 100 fans. And I'm like, damn. You're like, yeah, you gotta have some for that 100. You know what I'm saying? I knew I had more than 100. You know what I'm saying? So I started like, basically like pressing up, getting shit pressed up, like
Get into the merch and all that.
having something for them. I hate that word merch. That word merch is serious, is what it means, but bro, like, you gotta have something for the people. That's what I call it. It's gotta be something tangible that they can have that matches the experience of what you bring as an artist. Everybody can't have the same shit. So that's the problem. I feel like everybody got a hoodie and a hat and some shit. I got that shit too, but there has to be something unique to what you're doing as an artist that people can. And for me, it was the flash drives. It was the custom flash drives, and then just different things that I was offering. Shout out Mo Bang. He definitely helped me with a lot of brain work about a lot of the shit that I was offering. You know what I mean? Just like listening, you would have to know my music well enough to know what makes sense for me and my people as far as merch goes. So, we went that route. Of course, Jono, shout out my boy Jono. He definitely was instrumental in that initial helping me to understand. Like, it. As a matter of fact, Jono was the one that told me to start doing boxes. Jono, real shit. That nigga, he was the one that said, ain't it some? Jono is a mean thinker, bro. Jono was somebody that say, ain't it some kind of way that you can print on them boxes? Ain't it some like can't you get like boxes and like put your CD covers on the outside of them? Ain't there some way to do that? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, huh? I don't know. And then of course as I started doing that, but it ended up moving to a point in it where, like, Greg Street, shout out DJ Greg Street. He was the one that told me that you sow in your music, like how you emphasize prayer and all of that. You should do a prayer rug, right? So when he tell me to do the prayer rug, my mom was like, I'm just gonna get a prayer rug, basically put my brand on it type shit, like. And he was like, nah, you should like build it from scratch. Like, what? Yeah, you should go source the fabric, Then like when I was going through the process of that, like the fabric trim and badges and all of that type of shit, I I was like, yeah, I'm finna take it to this place and get it. He said, nah, you should find a seamstress to do it. Everything, he was like making it hard and all. I'm like, man, I ain't finna do all that bullshit. But then I did it, I went to my aunt-in-law first, you know what I'm saying? And then, she did the prototype, and then I ended up going to my sister-in-law, and she knocked them like really like, so it ended up being like a family thing. That's one thing I tell people about the beauty of being a rapper and like existing in hip hop is that you can literally wake up and be doing anything. This shit is like the most interesting shit. You can, from rapping, now you sourcing fucking fabric. Now you designing boxes and all of that shit, and just the beauty of that, like is Key say it all the time. 90% of this shit, it don't take place in the booth at all, and I like that. I subscribe to this shit.
Yeah, yeah. Man, talk about, because I mean, you got locked up, but to say you were Lil Wayne, like what were you doing prior to going to jail? You know what I'm saying?
prior to going to jail, man, I was on some um real heavy trapping. Uh, just some of this shit is just here. I hate hearing rappers talk about that shit, but the reality of it, you know, I was really out there. I really bust my gun. I really, just all the cliche
The
shit.
typical rapper shit.
I
Yeah.
was doing that shit, like, and I'm from a neighborhood that's known for doing it. So, we was out doing it. Of course, I'm from Davis Street. I'm from 300 Block. I'm from Longview, Texas. It's a well-known thing. Um, I did that shit to the best of my ability, and I never gave a fuck about going to jail behind that shit. Never.
Did you start like young as a kid, or like how did you even like get into all that?
All this shit. Well, uh, I I had the typical upbringing. Your father not home, mother on drugs, bouncing around. I lived with everybody. I lived with my grandma. I lived with for the majority of my time. I mean, of my childhood, I lived with my aunt Sandra. Um, I lived in Long Beach with my uncle Don in California. And just bouncing around and I lived with my grandma. My grandma had a cafe, juke joint, and I stayed there a lot
Were you
too.
bouncing around because you were like a problem kid, or was it?
Yeah, I just think that when you don't have a male in the house with you, um, and the game, bro, like just you could get some money in the streets. Not like it's like you as a kid you could have some money. And I tell like my kids now, like, it's being in the streets now is dumb. When we was in the streets, the grown ups was buying work from us. So it was like you was feeling adult, you was serving adults. Now, everybody's selling the same shit. You know what I'm saying? And not only is everybody selling the shit, it's not a really big client pool, of like customers. But when I was growing up, the game was on its downside, so we was the game's downside, meaning crack and shit like that, cocaine, it's big shit in the 80s, and then in the 90s, even though the shit was going down, we was kids, so we was able to grab that shit and fucking like really have money and shit as kids. So our experiences are very different, and we view life in a different way. I couldn't really be told what to do at 15 and 16 years old when I got money. I got more money than my mama. What you hell you gonna
So
tell
that
me?
young you was out there like that?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, I was.
Of course, you're doing right.
Yeah,
You're doing,
yeah.
yes, sir. But
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying because I mean,
15, 16 years old, man. 1990, I started selling work at 12 years old. By 95, when you 15, 16 years old, man, my mind was like, I thought I was grown at 16. Like at 16 years old, I ain't want to hear what nobody that was grown had to say really. But a testament to my mom that I will say that no matter what she was going through, man, she was gonna beat my ass behind that report card. I ain't gonna lie to you. Whatever the fuck you was doing, like, you doing what you doing, I'm gonna beat your ass. I'm talking about abuse. It's gonna be abuse behind that report card. So I knew that I was gonna get 6 real terrible ass whoopings a year. I got 6 terrible, and it wasn't for having like bad, like, cause my grades was never really just bad, really. But like, on the occasions when you wasn't up to par, man, like I'm gonna beat you. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're gonna get beat behind. But outside of that, I feel like my childhood was like necessary, like really necessary for the way I see shit now. And I just my whole mind frame about a lot of this, about like a lot of street shit was really formulated at that age. So, At 17, I caught my first like real case.
Donnie Houston.